There is so much that comes into fat loss and midlife, but also achieving our dreams, right? Having our visions become our realities. We want to do that now on a day by day basis. I tell you that, listening to Natalie and I and just thinking the thought provoking conversations that we've had today, reflect on those. Let your next right step be journaling and joining us in the dranna.com/thrive masterclass that I'm doing with Natalie to dig into some three key principles to support our bodies physiologically and support fat loss for the long term, but also the concept of mindset and getting to the underlying issues, being your health detective or doing your Nancy Drew work. Anyway, regardless, I am here for you. So please, please do all things subscribe, like, and share this podcast with your friends and colleagues. And join me next time on the Girlfriend Doctor Show. God bless you, and I'm here for you. Thank you. There is something amazing about a new year, a new start, new energy. I don't know, but again, it reminds me of that Buddhist saying, everywhere you go, there you are. I mean, it just comes with you a lot of times. So the key thing that I really want to emphasize this year as we're going through is like, hey, one step at a time to be better this time next year. It's a journey, it's a process. There are highs and lows. I know when I used to live in St. Simon's Island, and I had, been renting out my home, and I stayed at a condo, in the East Beach area. It was January 1st through 15th. You'd see all these joggers and walkers. They're, out every day, every morning, all times of the day, from January 1st onward till about the 15th, starts to dwindle a little from the 15th to the 21st. And then, by mid-February, it was back to its normal pre-December schedule. So, like, what happens there? Why do we lose that momentum? What are the habits that we can make stick this year? And especially when it comes to movement activities, think, okay, what do you love to do? What are activities that you love to do? So it doesn't feel like, oh, you've got a chore to do. And it's a process for me too. I love boxing. I continue to do that. I've incorporated weight training since the healing of my frozen shoulder last year, restarted weight training and incorporate that into my boxing, but really doing 1 or 2 dedicated days of weight training a year. I get on my power plate and I'm like, okay, I've got this down. Now I've got to get back into my yoga or, flexibility. A colleague of mine, Dr. Jeff Life. And if you've ever saw that, seriously, 70 image of a gray-haired man, all wrinkled, 70 years old, in his 70s, is now in his 80s, with a 30-year-old body on the Cenogenics posters for longevity. That's Dr. Jeff Lipe. So he's been a friend of mine for over 20 years now. But one of the things he learned from his Pilates coach was the way that she inspired him to do exercise and stretching is her quote was, "A flexible man is a sexual man." And that is so true. That's true for all of us. Flexibility, sexuality, and maintaining that during our lives is even that much more important, right? It's that much more important. So we want to do that on a regular basis, increase our flexibility, increase our movement, and especially like I plan to walk another section of the Camino de Santiago this year. So getting out and doing things that we enjoy. And that says, oh, well, the weather is so terrible. And that reminds me, when I lived in Holland in the Netherlands for a little bit, we had done a home exchange back in 2007 with a Dutch family of 6. And a couple of things was really interesting. They had a small refrigerator. And I was like, for 6 people, you just have a small ice box? And they go, yeah, we go to the market every day. Did we ride our bikes to the market every day? Was her comment. I said, well, I was thinking about them. I'm like, well, what do you do when it rains? And she says, looked at me very strangely, like, what is this American saying? What is she asking me? And she answers, we get wet. That is true. She goes, "There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes. No such thing as bad weather, only bad clothes." So that just takes a little bit of preparation, a little bit more often. Now, again, you guys are in different, again, we have a gamut of people that are listening to my podcast, and there certainly are times where you're not venturing outside for sure, and you definitely want to do it safely. But just incorporate movement and strength building exercises in your practice. The other thing that I did, because I don't want to experience frozen shoulder again, I got one of those bars that goes over my door jamb, my bedroom door jamb. And so I try to do this at least once or twice a week, but just doing a hang on that to really stretch out my arms, stretch out my shoulders, and to strengthen my upper body to work on that pull up, that elusive pull up for me. But continuing to work on that and just doing and creating a trigger reminder. I've got to make um more of a, think of the more effort into doing the things that improve my quality of life. Far from perfect, far from perfect. And even the best athletes need coaches, right? Even the best athletes need coaches. So that is, one of the reasons that I'm bringing our guest today back to the Girlfriend Doctor Show, because she has been one of my coaches and one of my mentors, and also has become a very, very dear friend. She runs a program called Thrive, and it had many of my clients in my Magic Menopause or in my Girlfriend Doctor Club have done her program called Thrive and have had amazing, amazing results. She is a master motivator. And that's one of the things that I love about my guest today, Natalie Jill. She's a midlife expert who helps women redefine healthy aging. She has two best-selling books, and she has numerous TV appearances on shows like The Doctors. She built a high seven-figure fat loss business and transformed over 250,000 women's bodies and health. She's now over 52 years old and is changing and challenging conversations around age, potential, and possibility. So in addition to her midlife fat loss business, go. She helps founders, executives, and CEOs skyrocket their sales and find more money through up-leveling their vision, dialing in their messaging, expanding their brand online, and fixing their sales process. She used the exact method she teaches to grow her global recognized fat loss and fitness brand with well over 3 million social media followers worldwide, two best-selling books, a top-ranked podcast, and recognition from Forbes and Greatest several years running as one of the top health and wellness influencers in the world. So join me in welcoming Natalie Jill back to the Girlfriend Doctor Show. Welcome, Natalie, back to the Girlfriend Doctor Show. It is good to have you here, my friend.
I always love chatting with you, not just as my friend, but you're also my doctor. And my gosh, you've helped so many of my clients too. So I always love chatting with you.
Likewise, likewise. I want to share with the audience. I was talking in the intro about you being my mentor, a motivation and mindset expert. I mean, it's like, okay, if I need a kick in the butt, I'm like, hey, Natalie, I need a kick in the butt, or this is what's going on. And you're very, direct, and we need that, right? We need that
hmm
support system. So I want to talk about your Thrive program. Your
hmm
Thrive program, because collaborate back and forth with our clients, and I highly recommend your Thrive program for fat loss and longevity factors midlife. So, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing there, why it works, and then I want to delve into
Yeah.
keeping the momentum going.
Yeah, this is great. So my goal right now, I want your listeners to really take something from this. So whether they listen to this and they go, "Gosh, I want to be part of Thrive," and why is it that you've sent some of your patients and clients there? That's amazing. But aside from that, I want to make sure they have some really good takeaways that they can bring into their life, and even possibly go deeper with you and I when we do our live training together coming up here soon. So first and foremost, I think, and you and I both agree on this, Dr. Anna, that in order to successfully continue to have health into our aging process as we get older, midlife and beyond, we have to learn how to be a health detective. Now, that sounds a little funny, maybe if someone's hearing this for the first time, but this is important to point out because so many of us just rely on the doctor's labs, the doctor prescriptions, what the doctor is saying. And then we rely on ourselves being accountable to taking those actions, which is wonderful. But doctors are human. You are human. And as knowledgeable as you are, we can't possibly know all the things, right? You can't possibly know all the things. So it's really important for patients and people in general to be really on top of being a health detective and saying, okay, here I'm with Dr. Anna for hormones or for menopause, whatever it is that they're going to you for. But that's not the whole puzzle. There's other pieces to it. There's also the part about what's going on with my stress levels, what's going on with my gut health, what's going on with my fat loss and my body and how it's built up, my muscle, how is that maintaining? Being a health detective is looking at our whole body, our whole being as we're aging and going, what is different now? What do I need to be aware of? And where do I need to go deeper on the learning process? I believe the reason that the method that you just referred to at the beginning works so well is that's what we do with women.
Yeah, and I would say I like how you say health detective. I'm always like, you got to put your Nancy Drew hat on. You got to look at the clues. What is your body telling you? And there's no like everything is important too. It's these always these pieces in the puzzle. Something I say to my clients often is, what's your one next right step? What's the one next right step that we can do now?
Yeah.
Because it can feel overwhelming when you're like, okay, you're cycling, the scale keeps going up and you're
Yeah.
doing everything you believe to be correct, and yet there's issues. And it can be
Yeah.
multiple things. So being your health detective, is it your thyroid? Is it your gut? And I always say to clients, I can't heal your hormones if I don't heal your gut. And that is
That's
why,
exactly right.
that
And
is
and it,
why it's so important.
And I think the other thing that happens is we skip over the importance of eating well and moving our bodies. Now, because, and I know people listening, they go, but I do that. I eat healthy or I do move my body, but I don't know that people truly understand what that means, especially as it gets into aging. I had a client recently go through the Thrive method. Her name is Kristen. And she's type 1 diabetic. So type 1 diabetic is autoimmune. It's something that you cannot reverse through diet or exercise. It's something that you navigate. And if you were to ask her ahead of time, like, what are you doing for your type 1 diabetes? She would say, well, I obviously go to my endocrinologist, I get help there. I follow what I'm told with blood sugars and insulin, and I eat relatively healthy and work out. But she was continuing to gain weight and things were changing in midlife. And when she came in and learned the process that we're talking about, we completely revamped her diet, making it a lot simpler than she thought it was going to be, a lot easier. And she was able to not only shed the weight, but reduce the insulin she needed. And this is
Mhm.
a very common thing I see in midlife. We get used to whatever we were told, whatever we were following, whatever that diagnosis was. And we stay with it, whatever we were told at age 30. And it's changed at age 40, 50, 60, 70. We need to be on top of that.
Well, and I think it's so important for type 1 diabetes. They don't even think it's a possibility to be able to reduce their insulin,
That's
right?
right.
It's totally possible to do that. And then in type 2 diabetes, totally possible to reverse the diagnosis. I like to say your diagnosis is not your destiny.
That's
Your
right.
prescription is not your description. I mean, it's really true. There's so much to that. So I want to share about a patient that has gone to you, that has worked with both of us, right? She's
Hmm.
worked with me in office and I sent her to do your Thrive program because really it was that motivation, that discipline, that
Yes.
she needed that weekly, like, accountability, and also to recognize she's not, doesn't have to do this on her own. Because we get our prescription, so to speak, we get
That's
our
right.
plan, and then you're like, oh, how do I fit this into my lifestyle? How do I do this? So since then, since she's been doing your Thrive too, again, it takes more than hormones to fix your hormones, right?
Totally.
So since she's been doing your Thrive, she's lost 40 pounds, and
Amazing.
the biggest difference that I notice in this patient is her joy. Is her
I know who
joy
you're talking
is
about, and
I
I
know you
absolutely
do.
love her.
Is when she came in and it's like, oh God, I mean, to be honest, she's tough. She was a tough personality. And so it's such a delight. She really is such a delight now because she's empowered,
So
right?
let me
Before
tell
she
you
was
what happened.
disempowered and yeah,
I'm going to tell you what happened with her, and this you'll recognize this. And this happens with a lot of people because even we can even talk about GLPs in a little bit because some people just go on GLPs and they're like, "Oh, that's all I need. I'm going to lose weight. I don't need a
right.
program. I don't need a method. I don't like. I want to talk about that. Don't let me forget there."
Yeah, let's
But
definitely talk about that.
but the person that you're referring to, she's wonderful, and I'll tell you what happened with her. What happened with her was not me, honestly. It's the method. It's the method that we walk through that let her see the possibility for herself. Now, let me be really clear about this. I can give a method to somebody. I can give nutrition, I can give the workouts, I can give the plan, but I'm honestly just the person orchestrating it a little bit. It's the person in the method that is going to realize and have the breakthroughs and do the work. What happened with her was she learned the very first thing I teach in Thrive is how to make an actual decision for yourself. So, and that might sound funny to a listener, like, what do you mean a decision? Well, we're making decisions all day long. All day long, we're making decisions to either lean in towards our goal or lean away for it, to find an excuse why we're not hitting our goal or to lean in and to create it. And those decisions are what is the underlying part of the vision we want to create for ourselves. I'll take you, Dr. Anna, as an example. You told me a while ago, I need to walk more. And you said, Natalie, motivate me. And I said, well, I can't, I could text you every day and video you and say, walk more. That was not going to work. What worked for you was you made a decision that you were going to walk more, and you were so committed that you decided to sign up for a walk in Portugal. Camino, what was it called? Camino.
Camino de Santiago.
You decided the word decided to put that on the calendar, pay for it, book your trip out. That is a decision. It's a lot easier to stick to actions, to stay motivated when you are in decision. Now, what's interesting about decisions is some of you are going to hear me say this and you run with it. A lot of people, more people than not, more often than not, need some coaching around that because we're making the wrong decisions. We are making the wrong decisions. So, what worked for your patient that you're talking about, what worked for you was getting really clear on what's the decision I need to make. And now let's work backwards from that. And that's why she was able to shift. And that's why you were able to shift. It's all stemming from that very first step I teach in the Thrive method, which is about deciding.
Yeah. And that is so powerful, right? Like that decision, deciding who you're going to be. One of the things you too, and I brought you into my Magic Menopause program to help with, the motivation and mindset piece and making that decision, making that action, being able to see where you want to go and feel what that feels like. I mean, that is
Yeah.
critical, but that mindset, the Natalie, the area I want you to delve into is okay, you're doing this, you're part of a group,
Hmm.
and it is the concept of consistency. Okay, let me
Hmm.
just say what I'm getting at here. Let me be honest with y'all. All right, so I did
Have you
my
not walked since this trip? No, I'm just kidding. I
right.
know
No,
you.
after my feet recovered. No, so like Camino de Santiago, I came back, I walked 100 miles, and then I was in India and I did a lot of walking as a tourist there. And then I came back. It's August in Dallas, and I kept my walking going. I would get up early, go for my walk. It was my first thing. It was a continuous
Mhm.
practice. Then back into practice, back into the fall school routine. September came around, mid-September, and I was doing it once a week, so keeping up
Yep.
with my workouts, two workouts, and one or two weight training. But like my walking started to get less and less, started to have less and less priority and significance. And then the weather gets a little cold. And
Do you want
this
to break through this
Leo,
right now? Do
huh?
you want to break through it?
Yeah, let's
Can
break
I
through it.
can I coach you on it right now?
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay. All right. This is good. This is
Can I
good.
just sign up for another Camino? That's what I feel
Well, you
like. I need
could.
to just sign up for another Camino.
You could, but let me take you through a process. This is something I
Okay.
take Thrive members through. It's called your driving core motivator. And I'm gonna walk you through the process. And those of you listening, you can do this with yourself as I'm doing it with Dr. Anna. And I might need to turn around and have you do this for me one day, Dr. Anna. So just because I'm helping you through it and I help the world through it, I help others through it. We all need to walk ourselves through this. So when we are not sticking to a goal for ourselves, there's usually a few reasons. And let me break down the reasons that I'm going to walk you through the driving core motivator. Reason number one is our body, our mind, everything will always go to comfort first. So if we are comfortable, we're not going to budge. So when you're uncomfortable means Dr. Anna, you're at a cocktail party, you're in a fitted dress, you're looking at your friends that are the same age and maybe they look more fit. And or maybe you're sitting in the doctor's office and you have your lab results or you're taking your blood pressure or whatever it is, you get uncomfortable because you think,
Mhm.
I need to make a change. My step count will fix this. That's discomfort. That's when you've made decisions. But what happens is you complete that and now you're back at home and comfortable, maybe wearing the big sweater, it's cold outside. You don't feel discomfort. So there's no reason to change. Does that make sense so far? You following me here?
Completely.
Okay. This is what happens to a
Completely.
lot of women. We're in that moment where we're out at the party or we're speaking and we feel uncomfortable or in the closet in the morning trying to get dressed. But now we're watching Netflix with somebody and we're comfortable and we're thinking, well, I don't tomorrow, right? Okay. So that's what happens. So I wanted to share that first so you don't stay in self beat up around it because that's what happens. But how do we break this? So I'm going to ask you some questions, Anna, and you're going to answer them as truthful as you can. So I'm going to walk you
Okay.
through your driving core motivator. Why is it that you want to be healthier?
I want to be healthier for my children, for my grandchildren, to lead by example, to be able to enjoy grandchildren and great grandchildren, the quality of my life, however many days God gives me.
Okay. So you're already pretty much enjoying that right now. What's the fear around it? If you don't increase step count and maybe release excess weight or get to that next level of health, what could go wrong there?
A heart disease, heart attack, like my
Mm,
mother experienced at 52. I'm 58 now. So
okay. So if you have heart disease or a heart attack, what would that mean?
would limit my ability to enjoy my life and my grandchildren.
Mm. And if you know you could potentially be limiting your time to enjoy with your grandchildren and your children, what does that mean?
Means like, that for me is a disappointment. Um, like unfulfilled goals and
Mm.
unfulfilled life to
And if you
be
have an
a burden
unfulfilled,
on my kids.
there you go. If you are a burden on your kids and you are looking at this from a place where you are not necessarily as mobile as you once wanted to be, or you can't do all these things and you feel like you're a burden on your kids, what does that create?
That creates, shame and guilt. Like the last thing I want to do is be a burden for my family. I want to have my independence too. And relying on, yeah, like,
Okay. So we
yeah.
went 5 levels deep there. Some of that would
Whew,
take people 10 people, but your driving core motivator, if you felt that, and I think you felt it, was that you don't want to feel that shame around being a burden on your family.
right.
Did that strike an emotional chord?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So those
Mhm.
of you listening or watching this, we know we've hit our driving core motivator when we actually can feel an emotion around it. Because it's never a driving core motivator just to say, I want to be a size 6, or I want to lose 5 pounds,
Right.
or that's not a driving core motivator. A driving core motivator is when we can go deeper and understand the why, as my friend Clark Bartram always says, the why that makes you cry, the
Mm,
why that makes you cry, that deeper why. When we get to that, and our shared client, the one that was your patient, we got to her driving core motivator.
yeah.
And when you get to that, it makes it very different. So, Anna, if you were to think about that driving core motivator, doesn't that make you want to either sign up for something else or go get those walks on the calendar or buy a walking pad for your desk? Isn't that a different energy than just saying, I need to do this and I'm not?
Yeah, yeah, and I think, there's a lot of emotion when you feel like, "Okay, I don't wanna be this burden," and then for me, it
Mm,
resonates with I saw what happened to my mom, what happened to my father, these that concept of, needing a caregiver to
mm,
take care of your basic needs. I mean, that is a terrifying thought.
yeah.
So, okay, on a daily basis today, what can we do? And Natalie, I have a question for you because the way I've looked at this
Mm,
in setting my goals, I keep the vision of being on this
yep.
ranch and
That's,
cooking in the kitchen and
yeah.
dancing and playing and
Mm,
riding horses and stuff like that. I keep that vision
that's
and
right.
it's like that's the end result
Yes.
of this work that I want to achieve.
Great that you brought that up because the method I teach in Thrive is called Decide Vision Action, DVA. So, decision was that first part we were just talking about, right? Vision is the point on the top. And I'm going to talk about that right now. What we just did with the driving core motivator, these are the tools, one of many tools that keeps us connected to our vision. One of the tools. There's many that we teach in the Thrive method. But let's talk about vision for a minute because deciding always comes first, like deciding to listen to this podcast, deciding to show up for the joint class that we're doing, deciding to do Thrive, deciding to be your patient, deciding what you're going to eat for dinner, deciding to go for that walk. All those decisions are critical. But we operate those decisions from vision, and then there's tools to connect us there. So when we look at vision, my question is, and you have that down, but my question for the listeners is if we could wave a magic wand and we could create the life that you want for yourself, what would that be? Like, take away all the that won't work or the cost associated with it or the time constraints. If anything was possible, what would that look like in your life? And let's just play with this with you. You just described some of those things, but Dr. Ann, I'll say those again. What are some of those things? If we think of your higher version of you, if we hit that vision, what are those things?
Yeah. So, being able to go horseback riding with my kids, like grandkids or great grandkids in tow. Like I'm on a
Mhm.
horse riding through our ranch type
Yeah,
property,
amazing. I see it.
cooking dinner, having everyone at the dinner table, flowers and smells and laughter and all of that coming together there.
Okay, so I'm going to add to that vision because that's beautiful and I can see it. What are you feeling like in the moment? What are you looking like? What are you wearing? And what are people
Mm.
saying about you?
Yeah, I'm wearing a really nice kind of flowing skirt. I've got some cowboy boots on and
Hmm.
a thick belt that
Hmm.
accentuates my waist, a lovely flowing top. My
Hmm.
hair's silver, and it's like this romantic chic type of
Mm.
look, and just like ready to dance and
Yes.
play. Yeah.
And you can dance and play for hours, right? Because you feel cardiovascularly healthy and fit, I'm assuming in this.
Yes. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And you don't have to say it, but in your mind, do you have like a size you would be or what that you would look like in the mirror or what that would feel like?
Yeah, so definitely hourglass size 6. I would say slim,
Okay.
sane, sexy size 6. Got to get
Okay.
the sane in there.
So you have your vision. Now, anyone that's listening to this, when we try to come up with our vision, this is a process. Now, Anna's been working on this for quite some time, but the vision comes from your daydreaming, your thinking before you go to sleep, your walks, your journaling, maybe going through magazines and pulling out pictures that resonate, collecting things as you meet people. And you see, like your vision is something you are starting to collect into you. Now, the important part about vision, you have that down in your brain. What I would tell someone to do is let's get that either on, I call it a decision board. I don't like the word vision board because I want it to be decision board, have it there, have it either, or have it in a visual space that you can look at. And the next step from vision is before you take any actions, before you book that walk, before you pencil it on your calendar, before you put your sneakers on and go for that walk, you ground yourself in that vision one more time. This is a daily thing. And you say, if I was the Dr. Anna or whoever's listening, insert your name, living in this vision, living from that decision board, what actions would I take right now?
Hmm.
And the actions that Dr. Anna would take is she put those shoes on and she'd walk every day. She
Right.
would, no excuses, have that in her calendar. She would be taking the kids for a walk before cooking the meal. So you ground yourself in the vision and you take actions from that space always. And that's the order. Now, you see, most people out there, now by trade, I'm a licensed master sports nutritionist and a functional fitness trainer. Fine. That's what I am on paper. However, what I have in programs is not what everybody else does. Everybody else just gives you a nutrition plan, gives you a workout plan. I have plenty of those. And I believe me, I can give everybody all that stuff. That's easy. But that's not the missing link. What most coaches miss is all of the stuff that we're talking about. And they might say, oh, I'll give you some mindset stuff, but it's this deeper work that I'm talking about. It's getting people into action from being really clear on decision, really clear from vision. And then we've all heard the term acting as if, we've heard that in business, but acting as if you are that future version of yourself with every action that you take. Now, me at the time of us recording this, I'm 53 years old. And I'm happy to be 53 years old, but I have a very clear vision of what 53 years old means to me. And 53 to me does not mean someone that's falling apart, that's in aches and pains, that's declining, that's complaining about aging. That's not what it means to me. 53 to me means I'm living my best life, means I'm
Mhm.
stronger than ever, means I have more energy, means I'm still growing, I'm making new friends, I'm more connected. So every day when I wake up, I think if I'm that version of me, what do I talk about? What do I do? What do I need to do, connect with today? And every action I take is going to be from that space, not from the space of, oh my gosh, it sucks to get older. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
another
totally.
diagnosis.
Or it's just normal for my age, right? Well, I'm
Right.
going to plug in the link, you guys, dranna.com/thrive to join us in our masterclass. But I definitely want you to check out Natalie's Thrive program. So check out dranna.com/thrive. Then we'll also give you more information on her program.
The
So stay
reason we're
tuned for
doing
that.
that, by the way, is
Yeah.
we this is going to be the third time Dr. Anna and I have done this because we love to chat and like I think we've done interviews here about nutrition, we've done interviews about working out, we've done different interviews here. But the reason we like to do this joint class together is it's a chance for us to go, if this is resonating with you, if this is not resonating with you, then I'm probably not for you. But if this is resonating for you, this will be the third time that we've done this. Last time was probably 6 or 7 months ago, but it's a chance for you to come on and go way deeper on these topics and actually make a shift for yourself. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I always recommend if Thrive even sounds interesting to somebody to do the class first because the class is free and it's a way for you to try on the coaching and see if it makes sense for you.
Yeah, no, I love that. And again, this is where we've been collaborating. The third time means where I'm getting success for my clients. I mean, this is a really good collaboration. This works well in concert. I can't be everything for everyone, but like this is where we come into to play together. There's always
I
that
love that we
one
do
next
that.
right step, one
That's
next right
right.
step. And yeah, and I see over and over the benefit that's happening. So one of the things you always talk about, like this core driving motivator. So like in the morning, Natalie, when you wake up in the morning, like how do you like step into that future vision of
Yeah,
yourself? Like, because
that's a
it's
great
nice to get
question.
up and get a coffee. Like you said, get
Yeah.
comfortable. Oh, this is my habits, right?
Yeah. So, okay, couple. Well, first of all, I am certainly not
Especially
perfect at
now that
this.
it's cold. I'm just saying.
Yes.
Because like,
Yes.
oh, I need that hot cup of coffee. Then that sets you into versus my habit is get up, get my mighty maca, go for a walk. And
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, it's so cold. Yeah.
Yep. So this is very individual for everybody.
Y'all are learning my weaknesses.
No, it's actually this is great because we all are very unique. So I could tell you like the perfect morning routine, and I won't say that I can't say I do that every single day because it's very unique depending on the day. In fact, truth be told, before this call right now, Dr. Anna and I were supposed to record 2 days ago, and we both botched our schedule. It's our ADD sisterhood, I'm sure, but we botched our schedule. We
Oh,
scheduled it
but
for
I found
today.
out I have a gene for that. So
Oh, I
it's
probably
my
do too.
excuse now.
I probably do too. Maybe we're related. But before
Right.
this call, I literally an hour before we were getting on the session, I texted her, I'm having a bad day. I have a flat tire. I'm out of gas. I'm running late. So things don't always run perfectly. That's not that.
Right.
But I will tell you before we got on this session, I grounded myself on what am I operating from? What is the messaging we need to get across? So I do that. And that's vision always like start with the end in mind. Like where are you operating from? Where do you want to take the conversation? So it's the same thing with our lives. So let's just talk about that. So you're comfortable morning right now, Anna, like just explain what you've been doing, what you not, don't edify it, but just like in your morning that you consider not amazing, what is happening?
Okay, so this morning, not it's freezing cold. Anyway. So it was really cold this
And tell
morning.
me what time it was.
It was 5:30 when I woke up this morning. It was
Okay.
really cold. I didn't want to get out of bed.
Did an alarm wake you up or did you just wake up?
No, I don't set an alarm. I never
Okay. So
set
you
it.
just woke up
Very
at 5:30. That's a win right there. Win. Okay.
Yeah, yep. Rarely set an alarm. I've missed a plane or two. Now I set alarms for those. But um so then I'm like, okay, cold, getting out of bed. And then when I get out of bed, I went for the
Okay.
hot coffee instead of my mighty maca, which I drank
Okay.
hot later,
That's
but I
fine.
was like, hot coffee. And that kind of, get coffee increases my cortisol. So that can
Okay.
set me off to a bad start for the day when
Well,
I
okay.
do
So
that first.
So tell me what happened, like outline the whole morning, and then I'm going to revamp it for you on how we could restructure this and make it really
Okay,
easy.
yeah.
So what
So
time is it
getting
now? You've gotten your coffee. Is it 6 o'clock now? Is it still 5:45? What time is it?
Yeah, so it's like 6:30 now. And
Okay.
that by that time I did walk outside, turn on my sunlight and sauna. I love my
Got it.
sunlight and sauna, but it takes a while to warm up, at least an hour to 2 hours
Okay.
now. in this weather. So I turned on my sauna and then I got to work. I started my with my phone, emails, our Slack channel, work channel, our,
Okay.
you
So you were
know,
productive, but not in the vision of what you want to create for yourself. So
no, because I
let's just,
missed totally didn't even get on my power plate. I didn't do my wall hang,
okay.
whatever. Like I'm trying to stretch out my shoulders to
Well,
my wall
let's
hang.
fix it. Do you want to fix this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. We have some choices. First of all, what's your new decision?
New decision is to walk in the morning, like
Oh,
turn on the sauna and then walk,
you want to
like
walk even
brave
outside in
the
the cold.
cold.
So you, even in the cold, you would like to walk outside after sauna or before sauna?
Before sauna because it takes an hour. So in that hour that it's warming up, I
Okay.
want to
You would
walk.
like to walk. Okay. So this is what we're going to try with you. Actually, we're not going to try because trying is like, I'm going to try to pick up this ponytail holder. I won't ever pick it up, right? You're going to decide to pick it up. So what we're going to do is tomorrow morning when you wake up, you are going to, first thing you're going to do, you're going to go start heating up that drink that you want because that feels good. And you're going to press start on that sauna, whether you do it remotely inside or you're going to just go outside. But you can get back in bed. You're just pressing start. Okay. Start.
Okay, the remote doesn't work. I got to get that
So
fixed.
you're
So
going
I
to
have
have
to
to
go outside.
somehow, or you're going to have to enroll your daughter or someone to go do it for you. But someone has to hit that thing. But you're telling yourself, this is just 5 seconds. I'm getting right back in bed. Okay.
Right.
So you're hitting your drink button, whatever you need to do there, that. And your reward is as soon as it starts heating up, you get back in bed. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to get back in bed, cozy, warm with your hot drink, whatever it is, your maca or your coffee, or maybe it's both. Maybe it's a decaf coffee and your maca. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
that's a good
bone
idea.
broth and your maca. It's something warm though. And you're going to, for that hour before your walk, you're going to listen to music that gets you in your vision. So you're going to put
Mm.
on either a 528 hertz high energy, like, or something that maybe it's faith music, maybe it's worship music, maybe it's like Enya or something, whatever for you gets
Oh
you
my
in like
gosh,
a.
Break These Chains by Tasha Cobb. I'm
That's
going to
it.
set
Okay.
that.
So you're going to listen to that, and while you're listening to that, you are going to either close your eyes or you're going to look at your decision board, but you're going to literally think about that vision you described to me. That's all you're doing in your cozy, warm bed. So what I'm doing here is habit hacking. We're not we're not taking away something that we love because it's a cold winter day. We're stacking it. So right. So we're now habit hacking. So we're in our cozy bed with our drink. Our sauna is warming up. We are in vision. No interruptions. You're not looking at your phone. You are listening to the music. And with that vision, you're going to add to it some gratitude. I'm so grateful that I have grandkids. I'm grateful that I have my daughters. I'm so grateful that I have friends. I'm so grateful I have patients today. I'm so grateful for this warm bed. I'm so grateful for this sauna. I'm so grateful that I'm mobile. And just anything. And if you listening right now want to take this on, you always have stuff to be grateful for. I don't care if you feel like you have
Absolutely.
the weight of the world falling apart.
Totally.
Life could be a lot worse. We're not in the Middle East right now. There's a lot of things that it could be a lot worse for us. So you think, I'm grateful for these sheets. I'm grateful for my food. I am grateful. And from that state, Anna, now you do that hour. And then next to your bed, you're going to have those clothes laid out already. You can do that the night before. You're going to put them on while you're still listening to this. And now you're going for your walk and you're telling yourself, doesn't matter how long I go, I'm just going. If you go 5 minutes, if you go 10 minutes, if you go 15, you're just going. And I would keep that music on, something that's going to get you motivated, or maybe it's something on YouTube, whatever it is, but nothing work yet. This is all uplifting, powerful, motivating. I know people in my Thrive program, they'll listen to the Thrive module sometimes because this is whatever it takes to keep going. And you walk. Now you're back and you're going to, in your sauna, have your stuff for your day, whatever you needed to start. And you can turn on work mode once you're in that sauna and start going through some of that stuff you need to do while you're there if you want to, or you don't have to, or you can keep the vision going. It's up to you. I know with me, by the time I'm in the sauna, like sometimes I'm getting restless. So like, okay, let me at least go through my to-do list or whatever it is. Now you're ready to start your day. And we haven't really taken anything away from it.
No, I love that. I love that. And then that's it's just like it sets us a positive forward motion
Mhm.
for that. And then again, you've planned it out, right? So you've
And
got
you've operated from your vision
yeah, and you have your
versus,
sneakers there, you have your clothes there, things that are like set up for
yep.
success too.
And what happens if you mess up? Let's just talk about that because it won't be a perfect every
Okay.
day. So what happens when you mess up? What are we going to do?
Uh,
Let's talk it
Go
through.
sit on the couch and get under the covers. No?
No. Well, we can, but what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our calendar at that time once we realize we've messed up. So, gosh, it's 9 o'clock. I'm in hustle work mode and I didn't do any of the stuff I said. We're going to pull out our calendar and we're going to look in the day where we need to shuffle, prioritize so we can do that time later today. But it doesn't get to go
Mm,
away.
okay. Doesn't
It's a
get to
new
go away because
decision.
I've decided that this is something I'm doing on a daily basis.
Yes. And that's the consistency. The consistency is not, I have to repeat the pattern every day. And if I didn't do it, I failed. The decision, the consistency is to make new decisions. So when I'm in self beat up, when I've screwed up, when this didn't work, the consistency is to make a new decision.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think too, when you're in that state, as opposed to, okay, I've missed today, I've missed tomorrow, or, or the day before, and now you're in like this beat yourself up mode.
Mhm.
How do you shift out of that,
Yeah.
Natalie?
So this is very common with women, very common. And anytime someone comes into the Thrive community and they're like, they start with that, like, oh, I'm behind, I screwed up. My question is always, what's your new decision? So it's that interruption. So for you, like Dr. Anna, and for anyone listening, if you could, I would put your vision on a board, like print out those pictures that represent that, make that your decision board, put it in your office where you're going to see it, put it on your screensaver on your phone, put it in your bedroom, like wherever you need to remind yourself. And anytime you feel off track, you go look at that again and say, who do I need to be? Who am I from this place? And that is the decision. It's the new decision. Now, I have many days where I grab my phone and I am all the intention to go
Right.
put the music on and I start looking at text and or WhatsApp or email. And next thing you know, I'm down a rabbit hole of stress and cortisol, right? That has definitely happened to me. No question. And all I've done differently than those of you that do that and then get mad at yourself is I do exactly what I'm telling you about. As soon as I catch it, I complete whatever it is that I feel I need to complete. I go step outside, I go step in, and I force myself to look at that calendar on my phone and go, where is the block that has to move now? And if that means I have to cancel something or I have to kick some, like it doesn't matter. If I have to stay up later, it's still happening because it's my decision.
I love that. I love that. Tell us some stories. And we talked about our mutual client. And I
Mhm.
know I've had a few now with you, and it's transformational. But tell us about like a surprise client, like something,
Yeah.
well,
Oh
what
my
I've
gosh.
heard,
I've,
because I've been in your Thrive, and I've, one of the things now because of your coaching and also just paying attention.
Mhm.
There's this old saying that we used at Emory's: the eyes don't see what the mind don't know. So now
Yeah.
that I see, like when people talk, when people start describing their situation, and it's very negative, right? It's like, oh, I'm behind on my work. Like I haven't listened to the
Yeah.
modules. I haven't, you like stop them right there. You're
Yeah.
right where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And I say, what if that was you saying that to me right now, I'd say, stop right there. Um, you're you're never behind. You're always right where you're supposed to be. What's your new decision? Okay. There's a reason you're in that place.
I think that's key. What's your new decision? All
What's your
right.
new
There's a
decision?
reason that you're in that space.
And you're never behind. And how we do one thing is how we do everything. So if you're
Mm,
stuck on week 1 and we're in week 8, there's a reason you need to be in week 1. You haven't finished that work yet. It's a method. It's this is Thrive is an 8
right.
week method, but it's a method. It's not an 8 week sprint and now we're done. It's a method. And
Right.
people go through methods different times, different conditions, different circumstances. We're always where we need to be. I'm someone who loves to go through things fast. Got it. But I miss details going through things fast.
Right.
I have clients that go through things very slow, but they crush it because they're getting every detail. There's no right or wrong way. So you're right where you want to be. But the key is to shift and focus what you want, not what is. So there's a very real issue with circumstances, okay? Because circumstances are so real. There's always circumstances. Like there's going to be circumstances every day,
I
all
like
the
how you say
time.
circumstances instead of excuses, because
Well,
I
because
hear
they're
them as excuses and you hear them as
It's
circumstances.
just circumstances, and we get to learn to live with them because they're just going to be there. And if you finish all your circumstances, more will find their way to you, right?
Yeah.
They're always going to find your way to you there. And my belief is, do we focus on the circumstances or do we Focus on what we're going to do about it and what we're going to do in spite of. And I'm going to tell you just some of the worst possible situations. Just you, anyone listening, you could think of the worst possible situation. Worst thing. Everyone, that's different for everyone. Worst possible situation. No matter what that is, you have a choice. You can succumb to it and say, my life freaking sucks. This is over. This is awful. Or you could say, this is what's going on right now. What the frick am I going to do about it? And what you're going to do about it might not be this big epic thing. Maybe it's just a change of thought around it. Maybe it's deciding to focus somewhere else. Maybe it's deciding to help some. What is that? But no matter how bad the situation is, and believe me, I've had some bad situations, and I know people have had worse situations. This is what I would want you as a friend to tell me, Dr. Anna. If no matter what I was navigating, I might call you crying one day and say, this is the worst thing ever. And I would want you to listen. And then I'd want you to say, how are we going to shift? What do we need to focus on?
Mhm.
Because staying in the story of what's wrong is never going to fix anything.
Right.
Just not going to. So getting a bad diagnosis, having horrible things happen, like all of that is life. It's I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel it and experience that, and setbacks are real, but do we let that completely derail us, or do we take that time and feel it and then go, what do I do about it now? How do I
Right.
shift? And that's what I would want any friend to do for me. Honestly, I might want you to go, you're right, that sucks for a minute. But if I'm calling you a week later, I don't want you to still say, you're right, that sucks. I want you to be the one that going, let's plan a trip. Let's do that. Let's go for a power walk. Let's go talk. Let's go dance it out. Let's go. What is that?
Right, right, exactly. Like a complete shift. And then for me, it's finding blessings in the moment,
Mhm.
right? Be again focusing on those practices to be grateful in the moment. But no, you're absolutely right. That's why I love you, Natalie.
Oh, I love you too. And this is not even a health topic right now, but you and I are both small business owners, right? We
Yeah,
both, and when you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, it's very up and down. So just think like
yeah.
money wise. Talk about finances for a minute. Money is very, any business owner listening, any single one of you, I don't care how much revenue your business brings, the up and down feeling. You know that you can have a couple months where cash flow is great, a couple months where it's not. How would a leader do in business if they let that affect how they showed up as a leader?
Mhm.
So it's the same thing with being that leader of your life. So just like finances, you can't let that throw you off as a leader in business. Same thing with your health, your body. We've got to stay focused on the vision.
And then the practices and disciplines that support your physiology to make you healthier. And then we can say,
Mhm.
okay, a lot of times it is that. I mean, it really does start with that decision. I've decided to do this, and therefore I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't like you take out the motivation is physiologic, right? You take out the motivation, but you decided and you're doing it. And that's, I think for me, realizing that like I can't rely on my physiology, I've got to do these practices. And it was interesting, we were talking yesterday kind of in text messages, but I had interviewed Cash Khan, Ka- Kashif Khan, on DNA, and so he had read through my
Mhm.
DNA. So here was this DNA that says, okay, you're prone to, for me, I'm prone to anxiety and depression. I
Mhm.
have this entrepreneurial gene. I find the problems in everything. I'm like, that makes me a good detective. I look to see what you're
Yes.
at risk for. But it also, knowing that, and I've just, I've compensated by, okay, I have to force myself to find the good things, to focus on those good things.
Mhm.
And then with the anxiety and depression, I have to force myself to make sure that I've optimizing my physiology with those disciplines and core practices that empower my physiology, right? So I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
No, there's a
and
lot
these
to
success
that.
principles, what you teach and thrive, I mean, there's these success principles keep you disciplined to do these actions.
Yes. And being that detective, I'll tell you like just like my own little person. I've had lots of personal stories about being a health detective, but I'll share with all of you. So at the time of us talking right now, I'm at my ideal healthy weight. I feel strong. I want to get stronger, but I feel strong. I feel healthy weight. About a year and a half ago, I was 20 pounds heavier than I am now. 20. Now, nobody looking at me would have said you're overweight or you're nothing. I still looked fine, But to me, I knew this was an extra 20 pounds that is not normal for me. And I knew it was not just fat. I knew it was inflammation. I was swollen. I had a lot of swelling and my labs were not good. Like looking at my labs, they were really not great. And I kind of chalked it up to perimenopause and, approaching menopause. And I was doing the
And
hormone
family
thing.
history of heart disease,
Yep.
but yeah.
All of it.
Like, oh, we
And
can make it.
because you looked at my labs. And what I went down the road on for me being a detective and learning things because I had pivoted my podcast to be midlife conversations at the time was about gut health. And our friend, mutual friend Laura, interrupted me and we looked at gut. And when we looked at my gut health, I found that as healthy as I was eating, as healthy as I thought I was, I had leaky gut and I had parasites, which is a whole nother crazy topic. But went and cleared that. And what Laura told me and what you said to me too, Anna, is you don't just get parasites and leaky gut without something feeding that. And that's when I learned I had a ruptured breast implant. I had a ruptured gel, hard form, the gummy bear breast implant. And when I saw that, I thought, this is so interesting. I teach being a health detective, and this is what I'm literally doing here. Had those removed, and without changing anything else, like just going back to my method, what I know, what I do, my weight has gone back to what it always was. Now, was it just removing the implants? No. Was it just cleaning up my gut? No. It was the whole process of being a health detective. You see, when we just say, I need to work out harder, I need to eat cleaner, I need to go on hormones, those are just one answer. It's the whole detective picture. And when you do that, you get back to feeling amazing. My theory on why we decline in aging, why we think we're declining so much with aging, is it's this build up of all these things we haven't been a detective around. It's the build up. If you have gut issues in your 20s, you're not going to feel it really as much until you're in your 50s. So it's
Right.
this build up of not being a detective.
Right, totally. And I want to pivot back to what we were talking about, the GLP-1s. Like we said,
Yes.
we'd come back to this, the GLP-1s, because they're gaining more and more
Oh, yeah.
popularity. And there's a right way and a wrong way to take GLP-1s, to be honest.
Absolutely. So I am actually a fan of GLP-1s. I am not against them, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm a fan of them for the right reasons, for the right people, under supervision, and if you are learning to eat correctly, so you're preserving muscle. So here, what I think, and I'm not a doctor, so you're the doctor here, but what I'm going to say in my research around this and knowing many people experimenting with them is I think they are unfortunately too highly overprescribed, like meaning dose wise, meaning a lot of people are prescribed a very high dose, which can have very adverse effects that may not be necessary. When if we can really look at what's creating the obesity problem, and everyone's so unique, everyone's so unique. Is it your blood sugar? Is it what's going on to create? And we can use GLPs to help with that. And that's where you and I have talked about the microdosing of it, like very, very small amounts. I think there's definitely a place, and I think it's been life changing for many people. My worry about GLPs with some people is when it is prescribed too high dose without the proper training around nutrition and workouts, we will rapidly decrease appetite and cravings, fine, but we will also not eat enough to preserve muscle. And then we're losing weight too rapidly. We tap into muscle, and that's very hard to rebuild in midlife when you're doing it that way. So to
Well,
me, I love when people come in that are doing GLPs to thrive method because they learn you get both of both worlds. They get the aid with that, they get the blood sugar regulation, they get the help there, the inflammation help. And there's a lot of studies on how it's even helping with addiction. There's a lot of things, a lot of benefits that I think are here to stay with that. But when you can learn proper nutrition, the proper amount of protein, how to work out correctly, all of those things help to thrive with it.
yeah, no, completely. I completely agree. And again, it's the quality of life to maintain lifestyle, et cetera, post GLP-1s or on
Mhm.
microdosing levels for maintenance levels of GLP-1s and what that looks like. And then understanding we got to fix the underlying etiology that caused the deficit to
Yes.
begin with. And that's all part of this all part of this process. And what I've loved to see is, again, the empowerment piece, because often I've been in
Mhm.
medicine for 30 years, right? So when weight loss drugs come into play and,
Mhm.
having seen the ephedrine and name it, like
Totally.
lawsuits galore from all
Oh,
of these things,
wow.
not for me, but I'm just saying, thank you, Jesus. Never had a
Yeah.
lawsuit. One of the few
Good.
OBGYNs to be able to claim that. But again, it's it is that concept of, okay, weight loss drugs, between these different programs, et cetera, is they set people up to fail again and again and again. And that's what's devastating. So you've got to
Yes.
set yourself up for success. We have a problem in this country. There is a metabolic problem, a
Yes.
crisis. It is a
Yes.
pandemic of extreme proportion. So understanding, being able to take control, being our health detective, as you say, and
Mhm.
doing your Nancy Drew work, as I say, is critical to creating optimal health
And
and longevity.
sometimes very small doses of things to help get you over the edge. Like for
Exactly.
example, take the GLP conversation. Those pens come pre-filled with I mean, you would know the numbers better than me, but they're pretty high amounts. What
High
I'm
amounts.
talking about with some people are doing really, really tiny, like 1/10 of that, maybe
Yeah.
even or just a lot less to just to give you that little bit of that edge that's going to help support you. Same thing with like thyroid. Sometimes people way over treat that. Like if there's a small amount, I love how you approach hormones. I love how you do it.
Thank you.
Anna is so good with hormones. What she says, and I'm her hormone client, is I went in with, I want to be optimal. I want to be optimal. And when we really looked at what that meant, she's like, Natalie, do you really want the hormone level of a 30-year-old or do you just want to be optimal for you? And I'm like, no, you're right. I want to be optimal for me. And we did just enough that I feel amazing, that I don't have hot flashes, and that I even kicked my own back up a little bit. Like I
Your
actually
own body's
yeah,
production
like
because
I
suppressive
ovulated
levels.
again
Yeah,
after not like
totally.
so
That made
I
me
love
so
your
happy,
way.
by the way.
Yes.
I just want to tell you.
So I love your way, and I know there's different ways of like I have very respected people that I know talk about higher levels. There's not a right or wrong way, but again, it goes back to being a health detective, finding a doctor that will listen and work with you. We have that good relationship. You know me, I know you. And but I love that you are that more conservative approach with things. You're willing to go where the patient wants, but you start and you bring it back to let's be conservative first.
Yeah, and you're doing all the things, right? You're moving, you're detoxing,
Mhm.
your mindset. All that is good. And that is so key because I won't prescribe hormones or GLP-1s if you're
Mhm.
not doing the work.
No.
Like, and that's been my practice for decades. So it's like if you're not doing the work, I know there's someone else. Oh, I had my hair and makeup for a photo shoot I was doing yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, you don't Botox or anything?" I'm like, I do a healthy amount of detox, so I currently do not Botox, but I'm not, like I'm not saying
Mhm.
I'm gonna stick with that every time I look
Yeah,
at my line. But there are other things that we need to do too. Like we have to really empower the physiology. And for right
totally.
now, I'm using my laugh lines, et cetera, as my barometer for health.
That's
And
amazing.
so it's
Yeah,
so
and
funny.
I
But
am certainly not against like, and I'm a little bit more like you with that. Well, like I've done Botox before in the past. I have not any time recently. I did try. There's a newer, supposed to be more natural, Xeomin. Have you heard of it?
yep,
I did try that several months ago. I can't say I don't know how I feel about it. It's not as strong as Botox. It's supposed to be about I don't know. It's still a toxin. I'm team surgery though. Like you, if anyone follows me on social media, to me, I would rather actually go correct something than inject something. That's just me.
yeah.
I'm very transparent. I shared on social. I just recently had my eyelids done and it made me happy to do. But to me, I would rather do that than try to do a lot of filler there or what like that was just my avenue. There's everyone's so different with what they choose or not choose. And I don't and everyone wants to age is a very personal choice. I choose to do that type of tweak over injectables when possible for me.
Well, and you earlier mentioned that you had the breast implant rupture, and so you've had
Yes.
explants now.
Explant.
And then just transforming with that. The mindset that would wrap
Mhm.
around that too. That I
Well,
admire
that
you for
really
that.
became to a decision too, because if you think about it, I had breast implants for years. Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous how many sets. I started when I was 19. I'm 53. I had 5 sets. It's ridiculous. And I was that defensive of wanting to have the big boobs. And so, yeah, I was kind of devastated. Actually, I was devastated to see that massive rupture. But that's when I went back to my decision and vision. And I thought, hey, this doesn't fit into my vision. Like, when am I going to be getting breast implants again at age 70? Like, I'm done. I want them out. And honestly, with that decision and being clear on that vision, I haven't missed them at all. Like not a drop. And I'm like nada now, like zero. And I don't
Yeah.
care. I feel good.
Man, I can tell that. And I was thinking about you. So first of all, before we go off on this last tangent for the Girlfriend Doctor Show, please sign up at dranna.com/thrive to hear Natalie and I go at it again with the masterclass that we're doing, fat loss, midlife fat loss
And to answer your
masterclass.
questions, we'll be answering their questions on there too.
Yeah, we'll be answering your questions. So, come with your questions, come with your curiosity and open mind, and just know that we're here to help you. You can hear this from Natalie and me. We're like really transparent with each other. And Natalie's taught me a thing or two about being authentic as well. As much as I think that I was, like having this discussion I'm about to have with Natalie, with all of you, and I know we have millions of listeners,
Mhm.
is a little bit challenging. But I would say that, I've had breast implants for over 20 years now. And my breast surgeon, I adored my breast surgeon. She said, if they're not broke, don't fix
Mhm.
it. But
Mhm.
yet there's this, intuitive sense of me like that says,
Mhm.
okay, now they're causing a little bit of inflammation. It's probably time to get it out. But yet there's other
Mhm.
part of me that says, I
Yep.
don't want as scars. I hate scars. And that's,
Well, let me tell you something that maybe is a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Um, you saw the picture of my ruptured implant. I sent it to
yes,
you. I will
yes.
never know if that ruptured from a mammogram or if it ruptured from a sauna. And let me explain here. I love infrared sauna. I have that same sunlight in sauna. I love it. I tell so many people to get it. Well, think
Hmm.
about how a sauna works in our body, infrared. We are detoxing from the inside out. We are heating our body up and we are eliminating toxins. What do you think is happening to those breast implants while we think we're doing a good thing in the sauna?
Right. The plastics, the microplastics.
Yeah. So my answer is not don't go in the sauna. My answer is remove the implants. And I would have cringed when someone said that to me before. I used to be like all the BII people. I was like, whatever, like white noise, didn't want to hear it.
BII meaning breast implant illness.
Yes. But
Yes.
let me tell you what, I'm a different person with them out
Hmm.
and I feel it. And it was instant. It was literally instant.
Hmm.
So that feeling, I don't care about the scars. I don't miss them and you
Hmm.
won't either. I have yet to meet, I'm
So
sure
you are
somebody,
married. I am still single. So
Mhm.
there's that piece too. But I
Yep.
will tell you that I did consult with a medical intuitive, and I'll connect her with you now because I know you'll love her. But one thing she said, the breast implants for me are intact, and this medical intuitive, but that's causing inflammation.
Mhm.
This is the first time in that and I've
I
been
believe that.
having this. Yeah,
And I don't think the sauna is helping with that, to
no,
be honest with you. So my thought is there's first of all, there's you can have lots of visits with plastic surgeons. They have lots of really amazing ways. You can have a fat transfer. And I know many people that are very happy with that. They remove the implants, did a fat transfer at the same time. I had some pretty gnarly scars because I did a lift with the removal. However, I had our friend, Dr. Sabrina, she injected the scars with PRP for my own body, platelet rich plasma, and they're almost completely gone. So I'll probably do another
nice.
round. And so I won't be able to see them. And honestly, I just don't. You think you missed something? We put these in so long ago. This
Yeah,
boobs were in the 90s. These big boobs. I don't
yeah.
know if you have naturally big boobs, more power to you. They're still in. Amazing. But the fake boob thing was really in the 90s. It's not really in anymore. It's not the thing. And to know how good I feel now, I can't believe I defended them for 32 years because I don't think anybody that is cares about health and wellness, you are in denial to think that these are not dangerous for us.
Right. It's
I was
true.
that person. I was literally in denial. And
Yep.
that goes with having amalgam fillings. Like hopefully no one has amalgam fillings anymore listening. Would you
So
keep
those
yours
are the
in?
silver fillings. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, we just have to think about this. So look, I am certainly not toxin free. I colored my hair today. I wear eyelash glue. I do plenty of things. It's like pick your poison. I just don't want something in my body that is not supposed to be there.
I agree. I'm resonating and I'm like, oh, I don't seriously don't like any
I know.
surgery. There were so many circumstances which led me to this decision in the first place that yeah, anyway, for my audience, we will
It's
keep
a
you
very
informed
personal
on
decision.
this.
It's a very personal decision. And
It's a very
you're
personal
whatever you
decision.
decide is right. I will tell you, I don't know anyone who's regretted it. Not one person.
Wow.
I'm
That
sure
is good
someone
to
out
hear.
there does, but I don't personally know anyone that's regretted it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you with that. Yeah.
Especially
And
when you
our
remove them and all of a sudden 20 pounds comes off and you're like, wait a minute.
So this is, that, subliminal, or subclinical inflammation. It's a real thing. And even without rupture, there can be that subclinical inflammation. And technically, the concept was, oh, we need to remove implants, replace them, et cetera. And all of this situation comes with remove, don't replace. But what that looks like for you is, again, a very, very personal decision, and it is timing in your life. But I want everyone here to be very well informed. And first thing is deciding, what does your future look like, right? What does your
Mhm.
future look like? I love collaborating with Natalie because you can see we don't like hem haw about discussions. So definitely join us at dranna.com/thrive. And Natalie, tell our audience how they can get a hold of you.
Gosh, the best place is to come to our class because
Yes.
that is where I get to know you better. We get to answer questions, all the things. If not, my podcast is Midlife Conversations. Dr. Anna's been on there, and you can find me on social media at Natalie Jill Fit.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I so appreciate you guys being here today and for being part of this conversation.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Girlfriend Doctor podcast. Check out all the links below for more.